Welcome back to The Deep Dive. I'm Mark Buzz.
And I'm Anna Bugs.
And we're ready to dive into a topic that, let's face it, might be bugging you. Literally. We're talking about cockroaches.
Ah, those unwelcome roommates.
Especially here in California.
Yeah, they seem to thrive in our diverse climate.
Exactly. So if you're listening and you're dealing with a cockroach problem,
you're in the right place.
we're going to give you some practical steps
tips and tricks
to help you win that battle against cockroaches.
Exactly.
And hey, while you're listening, if you're finding this deep dive helpful,
make sure to hit that like button.
yeah, give us a follow.
That way you won't miss out on future episodes.
We're going to tackle all sorts of interesting topics.
All sorts of things.
So back to the cockroaches.
All right, let's get down to business.
You know, we're not just talking about any cockroach here in California.
Right.
It's like we have our own special, I don't know,
all-star
lineup of roaches. What's the deal with that?
Well, you see, California's environment is so diverse that it provides the perfect habitat for a whole variety of cockroach species.
So it's not just one type of cockroach we need to worry about.
Oh.
That makes things a little more complicated.
Definitely.
So let's break down these rogues.
Okay.
Like, who are the usual suspects we might encounter in our homes?
Okay, well, first up,
All right, let's hear it.
we've got the infamous German cockroach.
Oh, yeah, those guys.
These are the most common culprits you'll find indoors.
They're everywhere.
They are light brown, kind of smallish,
Yeah.
and they have those two dark stripes on their backs.
That's how you know it's a German cockroach.
Yes, exactly.
They're like the poster child for cockroaches, right?
Pretty much.
Where do they like to hang out?
Well, you'll usually find them in kitchens and bathrooms.
Of course, makes sense.
Anywhere with food and moisture.
It's like their paradise.
Exactly. They just thrive in those conditions.
Okay, so German cockroaches, those are the kitchen and bathroom crew.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
What other characters are in this rogues gallery of California cockroaches?
Okay, well, another common one,
Hit me with it.
especially outdoors, is the Turkestan cockroach.
Oh, I haven't heard of those.
Yeah, they're reddish-brown.
Right.
And a lot of people actually mistake them for German cockroaches,
Oh, really?
but they have some distinct features that set them apart.
Okay, interesting.
Then we have the brown-banded cockroaches.
Brown bandit, okay.
These guys are smaller,
Okay,
with, you guessed it, light brown bands across their bodies.
so they're aptly named.
Right. And these guys prefer high and dry places.
So not the kitchen and bathroom crew.
Not so.
Where do they like to hang out then?
Think appliances, furniture.
Okay, so they're like the furniture fans.
Exactly.
Got it.
They like to stay up high and dry.
Okay, so we've got the kitchen crew, the outdoor gang, and the furniture fans. Any other cockroaches we should be aware of?
Oh, definitely. There are a couple more.
Okay.
We can't forget about the oriental cockroaches.
Okay, tell me about them.
These are the ones that love damp areas.
Okay, so the opposite of the brown banded.
Pretty much.
Got it.
They are dark brown or black.
Okay.
And they love basements, drains.
Anywhere damp and musty.
Exactly.
So those are the ones to watch out for in the basement.
Definitely.
All right, so we've got the German cockroach, the Turkestan cockroach, the brown-banded cockroach, the oriental cockroach.
And last but not least,
Oh, there's one more. Okay.
we have the American cockroach.
The American cockroach.
The largest of the bunch.
Oh, great.
They are usually reddish-brown,
Okay.
and you'll often find them in sewers and basements.
So not the kind you want to run into.
Definitely not.
So we've got a whole cast of characters here when it comes to California cockroaches.
It's like a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, it's like a whole little world. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't actually see the cockroach right away.
That's true. They can be pretty sneaky.
Right. How do we know if we have a problem?
Well, you have to look for the signs.
Okay, the science.
Think of it like detective work.
I like it. We're cockroach detectives.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are the telltale signs that we might have a cockroach problem?
Well, one of the first things to look for is droppings.
Droppings. Okay.
They're tiny black specks,
Tiny.
like little coffee grounds.
Oh, okay.
You might find them near food sources, water sources.
So if I see something like that,
That's a red flag.
that's a sign that we might have some unwanted guests.
Exactly.
Okay, droppings. Got it. What else should we be on the lookout for?
You might also find smear marks.
Smear marks.
Yeah, they're kind of brownish,
Okay.
usually near water sources or on walls.
Okay, so droppings, smear marks, anything else?
Definitely. Keep an eye out for egg cases.
Egg cases. Oh, boy.
They're oval-shaped and brown.
Okay.
And they can hold a lot of baby cockroaches.
We do not want to see those.
Right. That means you've got a growing population.
That's a sign that things are getting out of hand.
Exactly.
Okay, droppings, smear marks, egg cases, all bad signs.
After
Is there anything else that might tip us off?
Oh, yes. Don't forget the smell.
Oh, the smell.
That unmistakable musty odor.
Yeah, you know it when you smell it.
It's hard to describe, but you just know.
You just know. Yeah, it's not a pleasant smell.
It's definitely not.
And if it gets stronger.
That means the infestation is getting worse?
Okay, so droppings, smear marks, egg cases, and that unmistakable musty smell, those are all signs that we need to take action.
Absolutely.
So let's say we've identified the problem, we've seen the signs, we know you have cockroaches, what's next? What can we do to get rid of these critters?
Well, prevention is key.
Prevention, okay.
Think of it as making your home less appealing to cockroaches.
Right, we don't want to roll out the welcome mat for these guys.
Definitely not.
So what are some things we can do to make our homes less cockroach friendly?
One of the most important things
Lay it on me.
is maintaining a clean home.
Okay, so cleanliness is next to cockroachlessness.
You got it.
Makes sense.
They're attracted to food and water, so eliminating those sources is crucial.
All right, so how do we do that?
Well, start by storing all your food in airtight containers.
So no more leaving things out on the counter.
Nope, gotta keep it sealed up tight.
Okay, airtight containers. Got it.
Wipe down your counters regularly.
Get rid of those crumbs.
Exactly, those are like little cockroach feasts.
Don't want to provide a buffet.
Yeah.
And what about dishes?
Oh, definitely.
We all have that pile sometimes.
Try not to leave dirty dishes lying around.
Okay, so no more procrastinating on the dishes.
Right, it's best to wash them as soon as possible.
Okay, so airtight containers, wiping down counters, doing the dishes, all good habits to keep those roaches away.
Absolutely.
And what about pet food?
Oh, that's another big one.
I can see why.
Yeah, leaving pet food out overnight.
It's like an open invitation for cockroaches.
It is. They're drawn to it.
Okay, so maybe rethink leaving that dog bowl out all night.
It's best to feed your pets and then put the food away.
All right, good advice.
It'll definitely help.
Okay, so we've got the food situation under control.
Right?
What else can we do?
Well, another big issue is clutter.
Clutter, okay.
Cockroaches love hiding in dark, cramped spaces.
It's like their own little cockroach city.
Exactly. So minimizing clutter
Okay.
will help eliminate those prime hiding spots.
All right, so decluttering, good for our mental health, and good for cockroach control.
2 birds, 1 stone.
I like it.
So get rid of those cardboard boxes.
Okay.
Organize your storage areas.
Make those basements and pantries nice and tidy.
Exactly. It'll
Okay.
make a big difference.
Okay, so decluttering, that's manageable.
Definitely.
But sometimes,
Yeah.
even the cleanest homes
Right.
can get cockroaches.
They can find a way.
These guys are like escape artists, right?
They are incredibly resourceful.
How do we make our homes Fort Knox against these tiny invaders?
Well, it all comes down to sealing entry points.
Stealing entry points, okay.
Think of it like cutting off their access points.
So if they can't get in,
They can't become a problem.
makes sense.
It's all about being proactive.
Okay, but these guys are tiny.
They are.
Where should we even start looking for potential entry points?
Well, they can squeeze through the smallest cracks.
Oh, no.
So be thorough.
Okay, third.
Check around your baseboards.
Baseboards, okay.
Windows, doors, any place where there might be an opening.
So anywhere there's a gap, basically.
Pretty much.
Got it.
They'll exploit any weakness they can find.
Okay, so we're checking for cracks.
Yes.
What do we do once we find them?
Well, caulk is your best friend here.
Caulk, okay.
Use it to seal any cracks you find.
All right, so caulk up those cracks.
Exactly.
What else?
Weather stripping.
Weather stripping, okay.
Add that to your doors and windows.
And for our listeners who might not be familiar,
Of course.
weather stripping is that thin strip of material
Right.
that you attach around doors and windows
Exactly.
just to seal those tiny gaps
to keep the drafts out.
and the cockroaches.
Exactly.
So caulk, weather stripping, anything else.
Oh, yes. Don't forget vents and drains.
Vents and drains, okay?
Cover those with mesh screens.
Mesh screens, got it.
That'll block access from sewers and other openings.
Okay, so caulk, weather stripping, and mesh screens. We're building our defenses.
We're fortifying the fortress.
I like it.
Gotta keep those roaches out.
This all seems manageable.
It is.
But what about when prevention isn't enough?
Right.
What if we've already got cockroaches?
Well, then it's time to consider some treatment options.
Okay, treatment options.
There are a few different approaches,
Okay.
ranging from DIY solutions to calling in a professional.
Right, so we've got the DIY route and the professional route.
Exactly.
Let's start with DIY, shall we?
Okay, sounds good.
What weapons are in our DIY arsenal?
Well, one popular option is gel bait.
Gel bait, okay.
You apply it in cracks, under appliances, near entry points.
Anywhere those roaches might be lurking.
Exactly.
Okay, and what does the gel bait do?
But let they eat the bait.
The cockroaches eat it.
Right, and then they take it back to their nest.
That was sneaky.
And it affects the whole colony.
So it's like a chain reaction.
Exactly.
I like it. It's like a secret weapon.
It can be very effective.
Okay, gel bait, that's one option. What else do we have in our DIY toolbox?
Another good one is diatomaceous earth.
Diatomaceous earth. Now, that's a mouthful.
I know, it's a long word.
What is it exactly?
It's a natural powder.
Okay, natural.
And it dehydrates cockroaches.
Dehydrates them. How does it do that?
Well, it damages their exoskeleton.
Their exoskeletons.
Their outer shell, basically.
Okay.
And that causes them to dehydrate.
So it's like a natural insecticide.
In a way, yes.
Okay, interesting. What other DIY methods do we have?
Well, there's boric acid.
Boric acid. Okay, I've heard of that one.
It's a powder that's toxic to cockroaches.
Okay, so it's a bit more potent.
It is. You have to be careful with it.
Okay, we'll get to that. But first,
Yeah.
how does it work?
Well, it's a desiccant, meaning it dehydrates them.
Okay, similar to the diatomaceous earth.
Similar, but it also disrupts their nervous system.
Oh, okay, so double whammy.
Exactly.
Where do we apply this boric acid?
You want to sprinkle it lightly under sinks, behind appliances, crevices, anywhere they might hide.
So basically anywhere cockroaches might be lurking.
Exactly.
Got it.
But again, you want to be careful with it.
All right, we'll talk about safety in a bit, but I'm curious. Are there any other DIY tricks we can try?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, give me the goods.
Well, there's a simple baking soda mix.
Baking soda mix, interesting.
It's really easy to make.
How do we make it?
Just combine equal parts baking soda and sugar.
Baking soda and sugar.
Okay. The sugar attracts the roaches.
Okay, so it's like a sweet trap.
Right, and then the baking soda.
Does the dirty work.
Exactly.
Clever. Any other DIY solutions up your sleeve?
Let's see. Oh, cockroach bait stations.
Bait stations, okay.
These are pre-filled bait stations.
Okay, so you just buy them ready-made.
Exactly, and you place them in strategic locations.
So like a set it and forget it approach?
Kind of, yeah.
Nice. Are there any natural repellents we can use?
Some people swear by peppermint oil.
Peppermint oil, interesting.
Dilute it in water and spray it along countertops, entry points, cracks, anywhere you want to deter roaches.
So it's like a natural deterrent.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got gel baits, diatomaceous earth, boric acid, baking soda mix, bait stations, and even peppermint oil. That's a lot of DIY options.
There are a lot of different ways to tackle the problem.
Are there any downsides or things we should be cautious about with these DIY methods?
Well, of course, safety is always important.
Right, safety first.
Keep all these treatments away from children and pets.
So store them properly,
Definitely.
out of reach of little hands and paws.
Exactly. And always follow the instructions on the product label.
Always read the label.
It's important.
So DIY methods,
Yep.
they seem pretty effective.
They can be.
But are they always enough?
Well, they work best for minor infestations.
Okay, so for smaller problems.
Right, but if you've tried DIY and the problem persists.
Or if it's a really bad infestation to begin with,
Exactly.
it might be time to call in the professionals.
Absolutely.
So when is it time to call in the experts?
When DIY just doesn't cut it.
Right.
Or if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Sometimes it's good to have the pros handle it. What can a professional exterminator do that we can't?
Well, first of all,
Okay.
they can accurately identify the specific cockroach species you're dealing with.
Oh, right, because we talked about all those different types.
Exactly.
So they know they're roaches.
They do.
And why is that important?
Well, different species have different habits and vulnerabilities, so
Okay.
it's important to choose the most effective treatment.
So it's like a targeted approach.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And they also have access to
Yeah.
stronger, more targeted treatments.
So the heavy-duty stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, so they've got the expertise and they've got the stronger treatments. Anything else that sets them apart?
Well, they also have specialized equipment
Okay, like what?
that allows them to reach those hard-to-access areas.
Oh, right, because those roaches can get into some pretty tight spots.
They sure can.
So the professionals can get to those places that we might not even be able to see.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So they really have the knowledge and the tools.
To tackle those cockroaches.
Absolutely.
Okay, so professional exterminators, they're like the cockroach SWAT team.
That's a good way to put it.
They come in, they assess the situation, they've got the specialized tools, the knowledge,
Right.
and they take care of the problem.
Exactly.
So if you're dealing with a cockroach situation, you've got options.
Definitely.
You can try the DIY route, and we've given you a whole arsenal of DIY treatments.
We have.
Or if you're feeling overwhelmed or the problem is just too big,
Don't hesitate to call in the pros.
right, they're there to help.
Exactly.
And speaking of professionals,
Okay.
a lot of the information we're discussing today comes from a great resource,
Oh, yeah.
Simple Pest Management.
They're fantastic.
They're a California company
Right here in California.
that specializes in, you guessed it, Pest Control.
They know their stuff.
They clearly know their stuff when it comes to dealing with cockroaches.
They do.
So for all our listeners out there in California,
Yeah.
if you're dealing with a cockroach problem,
Or any pest problem, really.
Simple Pest Management is a great resource.
Definitely.
We encourage you to check them out.
You can find them online
Yeah, they've got a website.
and social media.
Yeah, follow them on social media. They've got a lot of helpful tips and advice.
All sorts of useful information.
So if you want to learn more about cockroach control,
Or just get some expert advice.
Simple Pest Management is a great place to start.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about DIY methods. We've talked about professional exterminators.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Well, what's the key to winning the battle against these critters?
Right. If our listeners take away one thing from this deep dive, what should it be?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is
Being proactive.
being proactive.
Don't wait until you're overrun with cockroaches.
Right. Don't wait until it's a full-blown infestation.
Exactly. Early detection and swift action are crucial.
So the sooner you address the problem,
The easier it will be to control.
okay, that makes sense.
So don't procrastinate on those droppings and smear marks.
Right. If you see those signs, it's time to take action.
Absolutely.
Okay, so being proactive is key. What are some simple steps our listeners can take today to start getting a handle on their cockroach situation?
Well, first things first, do a thorough inspection of your home.
Okay, so put on your detective hat
Exactly.
and start looking for those telltale signs.
Right, those droppings, smear marks, egg cases, that musty odor.
Once you know where the problem areas are,
Then you can start taking action.
right, knowledge is power.
It is.
Once you've identified those problem areas.
The next step is implementing those preventative measures.
Right, all the things we talked about.
Exactly. Cleanliness is crucial.
Cleanliness is key. Store your food properly, wipe down those surfaces, manage clutter, seal those entry points.
Make your home as unwelcoming to cockroaches as possible.
Exactly.
So basically, turn your home into a cockroach-free zone.
That's the goal.
And if things get out of hand,
Right.
don't hesitate to call in the professionals at Simple Pest Management.
They're there to help.
They've got the expertise and the tools to handle even the toughest infestations.
Absolutely.
Remember, you don't have to live with cockroaches.
You have options.
There are effective solutions out there,
There are.
whether it's DIY or calling in the pros.
You can take control of the situation.
You got this.
You do. It's pretty amazing how resilient they are, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
They've been around.
millions of years,
Sure.
surviving all sorts of challenges.
It makes you wonder what their secret is.
Right. Like,
Right.
how do they do it?
Maybe there's a lesson in there for us.
Maybe?
Be resourceful, adapt to change, and maybe not leave crumbs all over the kitchen counter.
Yeah. Good point. Those cockroaches might be tiny, but they are masters of survival.
They are.
They remind us that sometimes the smallest creatures can teach us the biggest lessons.
I like that.
Speaking of resilience, though,
Okay.
let's talk a bit more about professional pest control.
Okay, yeah, we touched on that earlier.
Right, so when you call in the experts, they don't just spray and disappear.
No, it's more than just setting out some traps.
Exactly, they have a strategic approach.
Okay, so what does that strategic approach look like? What do they actually do?
Well, they start by accurately identifying the specific cockroach species you're dealing with.
Oh, right, because we talked about all those different types of cockroaches.
Exactly, and different species have different habits,
Right.
different vulnerabilities.
Makes sense.
It's like custom tailoring a treatment plan.
So they figure out what kind of cockroach they're dealing with,
Right.
and then they tailor the treatment to that specific type of cockroach.
Exactly. They have to understand the enemy's tactics
I like it.
before launching a counterattack.
It's like a war against cockroaches.
It kind of is.
Okay, so that's one thing that sets professional treatments apart.
Yes,
They know their roaches.
they do.
What else is different about professional treatments?
Well, they also have access to a wider range of treatment.
Okay, so more options than we have with DIY.
Exactly.
Okay, so stronger, more targeted treatments. Anything else?
They also have specialized equipment.
Okay, like what kind of equipment?
Well, they have equipment that allows them to reach those hard-to-access areas.
Oh, right. Those cockroaches love to hide.
They do. They get into those tiny cracks and crevices.
I can't always get to those spots.
Exactly, but the professionals have the tools to reach them.
So it's the combination of expertise, specialized tools, and targeted treatments.
Right. It's a whole package.
What about after the treatment?
Okay.
Do professionals offer any kind of follow-up or preventative measures?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so it's not just a one-time thing.
No, a reputable pest control company will provide guidance on preventing future infestations.
Okay, so they'll help you keep those cockroaches from coming back.
Exactly. They might recommend sealing additional entry points.
Right. We talked about that earlier.
Or suggest changes to your cleaning routine.
So basically, they'll give you a plan to keep your home cockroach-free.
Exactly. They want to make sure those roaches don't stage a comeback.
It's like having a cockroach defense strategy in place
It is. They equip you with the knowledge and tools.
to keep those roaches at bay.
Absolutely.
Now, we've talked a lot about different treatments.
We have, both DIY and professional.
Right. But what's the key to winning the battle against these persistent pests?
Good question.
What's the one thing our listeners should remember?
I think the most important thing is being proactive.
Being proactive. Okay.
Don't wait until you're overrun with cockroaches to take action.
Right. We talked about that earlier.
Early detection
And swift action.
are crucial.
So the sooner you address the problem,
The easier it will be to control.
makes sense. So don't procrastinate on those droppings and smear marks. If you see those signs, it's time to take action.
Absolutely.
Okay, so being proactive is key. What are some simple steps our listeners can take today to start getting a handle on their cockroach situation?
Well, first things first, do a thorough inspection of your home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put on your detective hat.
Exactly.
Start looking for those telltale signs.
Right, droppings, smear marks, egg cases, that musty odor.
Once you know the extent of the problem.
Then you can start taking action.
Right. Knowledge is power.
It is.
Once you've identified those problem areas.
Then it's all about implementing those preventative measures.
Right. All the things we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Cleanliness is crucial.
So important.
Store your food properly, wipe down surfaces, manage clutter, seal those entry points.
Make your home as unwelcoming to cockroaches as possible.
That's the goal.
And if things get out of hand,
Right.
don't hesitate to call in the professionals, like our friends at Simple Pest Management.
They are the experts.
They've got the expertise and the tools to handle even the toughest infestations.
Yes.
Remember, you don't have to live with cockroaches.
You have options.
There are effective solutions out there.
There are. You know, it's pretty fascinating
What's that?
how adaptable cockroaches are.
Yeah, they really are.
They've been around for millions of years.
I know. It's kind of incredible.
Surviving all sorts of challenges.
Like, what's their secret?
Right.
Makes you think.
It does.
Maybe there's a lesson in there for us.
Maybe.
You know, being resourceful, adapting to change,
Right.
and maybe not leaving crumbs all over the counter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right.
Those cockroaches might be tiny,
They are.
but they are masters of survival.
I mean, you got to give them that.
Right.
They remind us that sometimes
Yeah.
the smallest creatures can teach us the biggest lessons.
That's a good takeaway.
It is.
So for all our listeners out there,
Yes.
if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of cockroach control,
We hope you are.
don't forget to hit that like button and follow us for more insightful episodes.
We love exploring these everyday topics
We do.
and helping you gain a little more knowledge.
A little more control over your world.
Exactly. We appreciate you being here with us.
We do. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery.
Now, to wrap things up,
Okay.
remember, cockroach control is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's a good way to put it.
It takes vigilance,
Definitely.
a bit of know-how.
And the right tools for the job.
Exactly. But the good news is,
What's that?
armed with the information we've discussed today,
Right.
you're well on your way to winning the battle against these pesky invaders.
You got this.
And if those roaches are proving to be particularly stubborn,
Yeah. What should they do?
remember, there's no shame in calling in the professionals.
Absolutely. The experts are there to help.
Like our friends at Simple Pest Management,
They're the best.
they're there to help you reclaim your home and your peace of mind.
Exactly.
We want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
Think about the spaces you inhabit.
Our homes, our workplaces, our community.
Exactly, and consider how these tiny creatures, often seen as pests,
Yeah.
can teach us about resilience, adaptability.
And the importance of a clean and organized environment.
That's a fascinating perspective.
It is, isn't it?
It's a reminder that even in the most unexpected places,
Yeah.
there's something to learn.
Always something to learn.
Exactly. So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those roaches at bay. Until next time, this is Mark Buzz,
And Anna Bugs.
signing off.